It was the eve of Thanksgiving, 1971. A man dressed in black boarded a Boeing 727 with nothing more than a briefcase and a name no one would ever forget. He was silent, calm, almost invisible among the holiday travelers. Yet behind his dark glasses and measured voice, there was something unnerving. Something that would soon turn an ordinary flight into one of the most chilling mysteries in American history. Within hours, routine gave way to dread. A flight through the night, stitched with fear, shadows, and a storm that seemed to conspire with him. And then, nothing. No answers, only questions that echo through time. Who was he? Where did he go? And why does the truth remain buried more than 50 years later? Tonight, we descend into the darkness of a case that defies reason, a mystery that refuses to die, the chilling legend of a man known only as D.B. Cooper. The search ended with nothing but silence. The kind of silence that does not rest but stalks. The forests of Washington stood unbroken, tall and indifferent, as if they had swallowed the secret whole and were unwilling to spit it back. Helicopters thrashed above treetops, their spotlights cutting through black canopies like surgical knives. Agents marched, soaked to the bone, their dogs barking at shadows. Every tree trunk looked like a witness. Every river bend felt like a grave. And yet, the earth gave them nothing. No body, no parachute, not even the scent of a man. It was as if Cooper had not jumped from the plane, but had been taken. Some agents whispered it in tired voices after days with no sleep. Maybe he was not human at all. Maybe no bones could be found because no bones had fallen. Maybe the storm itself had opened to devour him, or the night had claimed him as its own. The FBI dismissed these whispers, but fear grows where evidence rots. In the small towns scattered across Oregon and Washington, legends began to rise like smoke. Hunters spoke of screams carried on the wind. Loggers claimed to see figures moving between the trees, men who never left footprints. A farmer swore he found torn fabric nailed high in a cedar tree, flapping like a warning. But when investigators arrived, it was gone. The case files swelled with maps, statements, dead ends. Yet the more they searched, the less they found. And the less they found, the more monstrous the mystery became. Cooper
was no longer just a hijacker. He was a presence, an absence too sharp to ignore. The silence grew teeth. Newspapers fed it. Television retold it. And every retelling made the night of November 24th, 1971, darker. Soon it was no longer a single man who had vanished. It was certainty itself. Time passed, but the silence did not weaken. Instead, it spread. It lived in the filing cabinets of the FBI, in the restless dreams of agents who had failed, in the anxious laughter of civilians who repeated the name D.B. Cooper as if saying it out loud might conjure him back. The storm ended, but the shadow remained. And shadows, unlike men, do not die. Decades would come. New presidents, new wars, new disasters. Yet through it all, one question survived untouched by time. Where did he go? It was not just a case anymore. It was a haunting. And so the silence of the forest became the silence of 50 years. A silence that demanded to be broken, that pulled the living back into the night sky where one man stepped into the void and left the world chasing nothing. That is where the ghost begins. "50 years later, the shadow of D.B. Cooper still lingers. His name is no longer just a headline. It is a myth whispered across decades. The only unsolved skyjacking in American history. Some say he drowned that night, torn apart by wind and rain, his body lost to the rivers that carve through Washington's wilderness. Others whisper he limped out of the forest, soaked but smiling, carrying his ransom into the quiet corners of America. They say he bought a house under another name, grew old in silence, and watched the world chase his ghost. In 1980, a boy digging on the banks of the Columbia River uncovered rotting bundles of $20 bills, $5,800, still bound with rubber bands. Serial numbers matched Cooper's ransom. Proof of death, the FBI said, but others disagreed. Why only a fraction? Why buried in sand miles from the flight path? A mistake or a planted clue? The FBI's case grew fat with files. Dozens of suspects, hundreds of interviews, confessions spilled from drifters and convicts, each claiming to be the man in the black suit. Some told stories of parachutes tangled in treetops. Others boasted of lives rebuilt in secrecy. One suspect, a veteran named Richard McCoy, hijacked another plane months later in a strikingly similar fashion, but even he was dismissed. None fit the puzzle perfectly, and that was the haunting truth. For all their files, for all their theories, the FBI never found him. Cooper became both too many men and no man at all. The legend grew larger than the facts. A ghost who mocked the system, who tricked the sky itself. Each anniversary brought documentaries, books, and endless speculation. Was he a master criminal? A desperate man who died in the trees? Or just an ordinary passenger who vanished into history's blind spot? Logic says Cooper was flesh and blood, a man with lungs and fear and bone. But myths are not built on logic. They are built on absence, on silence, on questions that breed more questions. And Cooper's silence was absolute. Even now, his sketch, the narrow tie, the dark glasses, still stares from posters and screens, half man, half shadow. He has become folklore, as much a phantom as the forests he leapt into. Maybe Cooper died that night, lost to the storm, his body shattered in a place no one would ever find. Or maybe he outlived the story, walking among us, older now, a ghost wearing human skin, watching as his name became immortal. One truth remains. The night he vanished, fear and fascination took flight with him, and they never came back down.